everyone, and welcome to or back to Tahari Talks, your therapy in addition to the therapy where we get your mental and your spiritual right all at the very same time. Part of me is screaming on the inside with joy and excitement, and the other half feels like that girl on Little Women. I think it was called Little Women of ATL, where she walked in, she's like,
"Hey, how y'all doing?"
Hey. We are so back. Yeah, we are. This is episode 39 of Tahari Talks, where we will be talking about your fall 2025 reset. And if you happen to be watching this a year from now, your fall reset applies to any year, because this episode is not constrained to a certain year. It can really be used for any fall season. But before we get into today's topic, I want to address the elephant in the room. I have been MIA since April, to be exact. So it feels so good. This is kind of like season 2 of Tahari Talks, if you will, because it's after a long break. We are getting back into all of the things, but I didn't want to just keep posting and not explain why I've been MIA. I promise it is for good reason. I did post after a big break, but that was because I had pre-recorded that episode, had it in the clip forever, and I just wanted to go ahead and get it out before filming the comeback episode. And fall is the perfect time. If you know me, you know fall is my favorite season, and fall is such a great time to check in. I did a beginning of the year toolkit to get you started for your 2025 success. So I figured coming back after a break and also coming into fall would be the perfect time to check in and get the ball rolling for Q4 so that we can finish the year very strong. But again, I have been MIA because if you keep up with me personally, then you know I am pregnant with my third baby. Although I've always wanted 3 children, it came at a very unexpected time. And first trimester rocked me. I was actually pregnant in the last 2 episodes that went live, 37 and 38, but it was early on. And I think after filming those episodes, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go lay back on the couch now because I am so nauseous. And then this summer came, and this summer I literally could write a book on. There was so much happening in addition to trying to navigate this pregnancy that came when I wasn't planning to be pregnant. We had so much going on. New life came into my family. My family was given a second chance at new life, unexpected surgeries, major surgeries. Like, so much was happening this summer that I just needed to step back, handle business, take care of personal matters, and then get back to it. But again, y'all know I do not play about Tahari Talks. That has not changed, and we are getting back to it. So my apologies for being MIA. And also, a big part of the way that I show up on this platform is authenticity. A lot of this summer, I felt like I was not in a position to be able to pour out because I did not have anything to give. Honestly, that's the most real way I could put it. How dare I come up here and try to help you get and keep your life together, and mine feels like it's falling apart. How dare I get up here and try to give you tips and tricks and insight and spiritual motivation and all of the good things when I am laying on the couch all day long because my body literally will not let me do anything but that. And so I'm feeling a lot better now. I'm looking forward to finishing out this pregnancy strong and getting back to Tahari Talks. And of course, once the baby comes, I will have to step away for not as long as I was gone this last time, but just for a little while I recover. And then we're getting the ball rolling. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So that is a tidbit on why I've been MIA. Now let's get into this episode. Before we do, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Typically, when Tahari Talks is in season and on the roll, I post new videos every week on different topics to help me, you, and us get and keep our lives together. We talk about the natural, the physical, we talk about the spiritual, and then we give practical tips. We pray together at the end of every single episode, and then we do it all again the following week. If you're not new here and you returned back, even after the break, I just want to say thank you so much for meeting me back here, for coming back, for being a part of this journey. Thank you for the motivational comments while I was away. People would send me screenshots of them listening to Tahari Talks episodes, and y'all don't know how much that motivated me and reminded me that this platform is needed. I got a comment a couple of weeks ago, and it was just like, don't stop, keep going. And it was like, it came at the time where I needed to be reminded myself. So thank you. I cannot say that enough. If you don't have your notifications turned on, go ahead and do that. If you're listening on Spotify, iHeart, or any of the audio only platforms, thank you so much for tuning in. And I do not want to continue to delay, so let's get right into it. First and foremost, I want to talk about all of the reasons why fall naturally is a great time to reevaluate where you are for the year and to kick it into high gear. Like I said, I checked in at the top of the year or right before before the year started, so I want to check in again so that we can finish out Q4 strong. Q4 and fall is one of the best seasons to reset and finish out the year as strong as possible. And what that looks like is different for everybody, because maybe you've been going hard all year. Maybe you've been on your Zoom. Maybe you don't need to go harder. Maybe you need to slow down and just soak in all of the good things that you've done so far for 2025. Maybe you've been pedal to the metal all year, and Q4 is your time to kind of slow down and reset and just enjoy peace, enjoy family, enjoy solitude. Maybe for you, you've been too laid back and you need to kick it into high gear for Q4. All right, I had my time of rest. I had a great summer. I was outside. I was inside. I was out the country. And now I need to reel it in and get focused. Maybe you're somewhere in the middle of the two and you've been moving steadily and you need to keep that same pace to finish out the year. Only you know what that looks like, so you know what you can pull from this episode in order to finish this year as best as you can and to keep those promises that you made to yourself in the beginning of the year, to finish out some of those goals that were on your list at the beginning of 2025. Only you know what that looks like. But no matter where you stand, I trust and believe that there's something in this episode. I know that there's something in this episode that can and will speak to you. Q4 is like both nature and society's built-in last lap, and I'm gonna explain why. First and foremost, there's a seasonal energy shift that happens both in nature and in society when fall touches down. Summer is more relaxed, it's chaotic, it's loose, it's less scheduled, it's less structured for most people. It's indulgent. Fall comes with cooler air. Personally, North Carolina still has some catching up to do because it's still been very hot, then it's been rainy. But typically, eventually, fall comes with cooler air and it comes with back to school energy. If you're a parent, then you know. If you're a student, then you know. You get serious around this time of year. Let's lock down. Let's get back scheduled. Let's get more routine. Let's get more disciplined. Even if you're not a student, even if you're not a parent, even if you're not in school, your brain is wired to reset around this time of the year. The weather, once it feels like fall, it motivates you to cozy up, get intentional, to plan out the rest of the year, even with the holidays approaching. The back to school season itself, it requires of us that we get more intentional about planning, putting those dates in the calendar, lining up your syllabus with your calendar and making sure that the things align. Your extracurriculars, if you have children that do extracurricular activities, lining up their calendars with your calendar, your work calendar, your PTO days with their teacher work days. We're just more serious about the things that are on our plate and that we are required to do. We get more intentional about planning upcoming holidays, trips. What will this time off look like? Where will we be going? What will we be doing? Like, everything is way more buckled down and serious around this time of year. And specifically because we come from the summer season where it is more chill, more indulgent, into this time, it's a perfect time to reevaluate. All right, what is working? What's not working? Where do I need to switch some things up? Where are things going good? Where are things working for me? And how can I best do so that it works best for me and the people that I'm called to serve? Not only that, but Q4, literally the fact that we call it Q4, it reminds us, like in sports, when Q4 comes, every player on the team is getting serious. They're locked in, they're comfortable, you're warmed up. You're not playing in Q4 how you were playing in Q1. In Q1, you think that you have more time. You know that, all right, we got until halftime to see what the score is looking like. In Q4, you're not playing. The score is what the score is, and you need to do all that you can to either win or lose the game. And that's how it feels in the year. Q4 is like, all right, I got 3 more months. How am I going to best finish this out? How can I make up for lost time? How can I keep up what I've been doing well? How can I switch up what's not going so well? It triggers a sense of urgency within us. You want to close out goals, hit milestones, or at the very least, not roll into the following year just feeling sloppy and like you just haven't done what you said that you were going to do. Because not only that, I've said this in past episodes, but when you don't keep the promises that you make to yourself, your confidence decreases and you stop to believe that you will do the things that you say you're going to do moving forward or in the future. So if in the beginning of 2025 you made this cute, beautiful digital vision board, paper vision board, whatever your tea is, then for the rest of the year you did not do anything that was on that board, you're not going to be motivated to set goals for 2026 because you look back at 2025 and say, I did absolutely nothing. Granted, it's okay to not hit every single goal. Life happens, things happen unexpectedly. I am a testament to that. But it's important that we keep the promises that we make to ourselves on a grand scale so that we can trust that when we say we're going to do a thing to ourselves, that we keep that promise to ourselves, keep that confidence in ourselves to commit to and finish out future goals. Another reason why fall and Q4 are the perfect reset time is because because there's a natural rhythm of reflection that happens during this time. The days get shorter. Subconsciously, that causes you to turn inward. And usually that looks like inward reflection. Again, evaluating, what did I say that I was going to do this year? What did I actually do compared to what I said I was going to do? What's still possible for me to make happen before January touches down? And going right along with that, it's a momentum builder for January, not waiting for a new year to say, oh, I'm going to become this new person. I'm going to do all these new things. I'm going to reach all of these new goals. But start it now so that when January comes, you're already in a rhythm that you can continue rather than having to start from scratch when January comes, when the new year comes. If you wait until January to start over, you're already behind. When you use Q4 properly as the reset that it can be, that it absolutely is, then that means that you could roll into a new year, not trying to shake off excess holiday weight. And I mean that in every sense of the word. Not trying to shake off that procrastination fog. Not trying to say, okay, what are the goals? Then start working on the goals. You already know what the goals are. You already have the systems in place because you've been at it since Q4 of the prior year. And then also Q4 holds a lot of holidays, and the holidays, it can be a boost for a lot of people. It can derail people also, but it can either derail you or be fuel for you. So with holidays come deadlines, with holidays come social events, with holidays comes tradition, and those things can motivate us to look and feel our best. They can motivate us to budget smarter, or they can motivate us to finish lingering projects so that we can actually enjoy the season. You know, you're going to see that family you ain't seen in a minute. You're going to see that person from the class reunion that used to try and bully you and talk crazy to you. You trying to show up looking and feeling your best. You know that you have this deadline at work, or you know you have this deadline approaching for this budget to pay for a trip, to go on whatever it looks like. It can fuel you during this time to say, all right, I need to hunker down and make this happen by this time, and I don't have any time to waste to make it happen. And then my favorite of the list is that we naturally and physically see everything around us changing. The leaves are changing colors. You have to change your wardrobe out. You're wearing different pieces. For the women of color, we can start to wear our hair out. It's silk press season. The menus are changing. Pumpkin spice is back. The cinnamon is back. The apple cider is back. We are literally seeing things change right before our eyes. Warm colors. We're getting our nails fall inspired. We're wearing more warm scents, more warm colognes for the men. The candle scents. All of these things are motivating factors that we can use to propel us, in addition to the mental, in addition to the spiritual, that we can use to propel us on a natural level into action. Those are cues that remind you change is normal, change is good, and you can also change and shift just as the season is changing and shifting. Basically, fall and Q4 are like that friend that says, all right, tighten up. It's time. The summer is over. Chill time is done. It's time to tighten up. It's time to get it together. It's time to get back right. And let's finish strong. So with that being said, let's get into the spiritual. Y'all know I always want to know what the word has to say about the subject at hand. So let's look at some of the ways that the word encourages us to embrace and look at new seasons. The Bible is great at imagery and the use of seasons and language around seasons to illustrate God's character, the way in which he does things, and showing us who he is. And it's a great way to illustrate because if nothing else, it's a universal human experience. We've all experienced every season. We've all experienced the changes that come with that season. And so I love how strategic that God is, and even the way that he breathed life into his word, because the person that may not understand what it means to be healed by his stripes, because that's not something that they can put their eyes on and create an image out of. You know what it means to hear a verse that uses language like a tree planted by water with streams that yield fruit, because we've seen that before. We know what that looks like. We can use the metaphors to understand just how deeply he cares about us, just how strategic he is in crafting us, and just how prosperous and blessed that he intends for us to be if we take heed of his word and the instructions that he has for our life. So with that being said, I wanted to tie in two scriptures that we can meditate on in this new season. And the first one is Psalm 1 and 3. And it says, that person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers. Whatever they do prospers. And here a metaphor is used for being rooted in God, so your life naturally produces fruit in the right time. Seasons are all about timing. Fall is all about timing. And meditating on this verse specifically made me think about certain crops and how they each have their season. Watermelons are most ripe. They're the sweetest during the summertime. And now it's like, all right, everybody get your last watermelons, because we know they're going to be real light skin until It's time for them to be in season again. Blackberries are most ripe. Their season is in winter. So it's about to be a great season to get blackberries in their sweetest form, whereas summertime just was not their season. And so on a personal level, maybe you felt like the summer wasn't your ripening season. Maybe the summer was a time for you to plant seeds. Maybe the summer was a time where seeds that were planted in spring took root, but it wasn't time for you to sprout up or spring up yet. Maybe your seed season took place earlier in the year. The summer, your roots spread and became strong, and now it's your time to bear fruit. Maybe this fall is a time where you'll become rooted. No one is the expert on that more than you as far as what your season looks like. We're going to come back to that because there's more that I want to say on seasons and comparison and knowing where you are and where God has you and knowing that there's a reason why he has you there. But before we go to that, let's go to the second verse, which is James 5:7-8. And it says, "Be patient then, brothers and sisters, until the Lord's coming. See how the farmer waits for the land to yield its valuable crop, patiently waiting for the autumn and spring rains. You too be patient and stand firm, because the Lord's coming is near." And here James is just reminding us to be anxious for nothing. I love when the Bible reminds us to be anxious for nothing, because I feel like we are a people, especially in 2025, with the way that our society is set up, that anxiety runs rampant if we do not take every thought captive. And so it's another reminder yet again, be anxious for nothing. And it's a great follow-up and tie into the first verse in Psalms that just reminds us that everything has its season. People are always quick to say, whatever's for me won't miss me. And it sounds good. It sounds great. And as true as it is, it's hard to forget it when you're in the midst of going through and feeling like, did I miss it? Am I late? Am I behind? What is going on? What season even is this? What do I call it? I've never felt or experienced this before. But like I said, I wanted to expound more just a second ago. What a shame it would be for fall to look at summer as a season and envy the heat that it has, or envy the relaxation that comes with this season, when it has so much beauty wrapped up in its own season. The colors, the weather, the foliage, the scents, the holidays. Imagine fall being envious of summer. And maybe I'm biased because fall is my favorite season, but summer could never. And even on the flip side, let's take two other seasons. Imagine what a shame it would be for spring to look at winter and envy its cool and celebratory air and neglect the fact that it has its own beauty and blossoming new life, new plants, beautiful weather, and the beautiful things that come in its season. That's how crazy we look when we're impatient in seasons where God is doing what's required for us individually in our season. And it's the opposite of what we're desiring, but it's exactly what we need to take place during that time. Because it's for us. It's not for the next person. It's not for the person that we look at and think they're in their winning season, but we're in our season of learning. It's not for the person who may be still in their pruning season, but we're in a season where God is making us uncomfortable because he's about to launch us into places where we're going to have to be uncomfortable to walk in purpose. And when I was planning this episode, I had to ask the question of AI, like, why does fall have to shed its leaves? Like, what would happen if fall decided, like, I'm cool. I don't want to go through the shedding. I don't want to shed leaves. I want to be like winter and be bare ready, or I want to be like spring and sprout new vegetation. And it said fall has to shed its leaves because it's a survival strategy for deciduous trees to endure harsh winter conditions. It's literally a survival technique. And then things bloom in spring because plants are biologically programmed to respond to environmental cues such as increasing daylight, increasing temperatures, and the availability of moisture and nutrients. I hope you are following where I am going. That is so beautiful because it's a reminder that God doesn't put us in seasons. God does not place us in places. God does not place us in periods of learning and growing and pruning and refining just because he's trying to be cruel or just because it's just fun to watch us wail and cry and be uncomfortable. It literally has to happen for what's to come next. Winter has to happen so then spring can follow up and be the beauty that it is. And then spring has to happen so summer can come and take place in the way that it does. But the things within the season, although uncomfortable, although sometimes unaesthetic, although sometimes unappealing, it has to happen for survival and the thriving of what's to come, to prepare you for what's to come. I love that so much. And if that's not a reminder that God's word ties into every little thing, then I don't know what is. So with that, let's get into the practical. I have 8 practical tips that I want to leave you with before this episode ends for you to really reset and get into Q4 as best as you can. And then we're going to pray and close this episode on out. So with that being said, First and foremost is to clear your mind and your space. Just like we do spring cleaning, fall is the perfect time to get rid of those things that you don't use, those things that are just taking up space, the things that are cluttering your environment, the clothes that no longer fit or that you haven't worn. Whenever you switch out that wardrobe and you pick up that thing that you didn't touch for the past 2 fall, winter seasons, get rid of it. Clean out that car. Clean out that drawer. Organize your closet. It feels so good to physically do those things because it's mirrored in your mental. Your mental is more clear because your physical space is more clear. I believe I spoke about this a lot more in the stillness episode, so I will plug that in the card here. And if you have not checked out that episode, then go ahead and do that because it's full of gems. Second, I want you to write out your goals for the remainder of the year. Put it on paper, put it in your computer, put it in your iPad, your notes, whatever. But I'm a pen and paper type of girl. Make them realistic. What can you realistically accomplish in the last 3 months of this year? Yeah. That's crazy. It's almost like October is like tomorrow. October, November, December. What can you realistically accomplish without burning yourself out? What have you already learned thus far in 2025 that you can apply to the reworking of these goals or to clarifying what you've already written earlier in the year and you know that you have the potential and the wherewithal to finish out realistically? Next, I want you to get ahead of the fall blues. We all know that with seasons changing, a lot of people fall into seasonal depression. I also have an episode on that. I'm going to put that card here, so go check that out if you have not. But get ahead of it as best as you can. Of course, some things are inevitable. We'll feel it and it's nothing that we can do but go through it. But get ahead of the vitamin deficiencies that will come when there's no longer sun out until 9 p.m. Do you need more vitamin D in your system? Do you need a new multivitamin? Do you need B12 shots? Whatever that looks like, to make sure that you're getting ahead of it and making sure that you feel your best physically and you're ready to take on the season and everything that comes along with it. If you know that you're not a homebody and socialization is the thing that makes you not feel depressed when the fall comes and it's dark outside early, get ahead of it. What's your game plan? Do you have a hobby, a class that you'll be attending on these certain days of the week at this time so that you're not just inside and over it? Planning time with family and friends. If you are a homebody, how you going to spend that time? Maybe you're going to spend it doing nothing. Whatever your game plan looks like, getting ahead of it if you know that you struggle mentally and emotionally when the fall comes and when the times change, when that time goes when it goes back, when the weather changes and it's no longer as warm outside. If that affects you negatively, get ahead of it. Don't just wait for it to happen and see what you could do when it comes. What will you do to prevent the effects of it on the front end? And going hand in hand with that, I want you to audit your routines. Like I was saying earlier in the episode, evaluate what's been working and what's not working. Be real with yourself about what's not working. Maybe you picked up a hack that you found on a podcast or on social media, and then you've come to realize that doesn't fit specifically into your lifestyle. That doesn't work for you and your children. It doesn't work for your personality. Throw it out the window if it's not working and figure out, all right, what can work? What's actually serving you and what's draining you? What's making you feel like you're doing more work than you have to, and what systems are working smart for your lifestyle? Again, fall naturally brings a rhythm shift. People are going back to school. The days are shorter. Use that to tweak your morning routine, your evening routine, your grocery routine, or even your social media habits so that they work with the season and not against it. You're not frustrated because you're working against yourself. Lately, I started implementing more systems into my home, especially with expecting a third child in my household about to go from a family of 4 to a family of 5. I know that it's very imperative that I implement systems in my home and start to run certain parts of my home like it's a business. And if a business does not run effectively or successfully without systems, why are you trying to run your life without it? Why would you try to run your home without it? For example, Thursday is now my laundry day. Every week, no matter what I have going on, unless I'm out of town or not in the home, that is my laundry day. And I've been doing it for a few weeks now, and it has changed the game. And what I realized in like my second week of doing it is that the only reason I was frustrated with the pile up of laundry and feeling like it was always laundry to be done and feeling like I would have to catch up on a month of laundry at a time is because I was literally setting myself up for failure. I was setting myself up for failure and frustration by not having a system. And just implementing something so simple as one day of the week where I knock out all the laundry has changed the game because it's not much. It's only from the last 6-7 days. so I can knock it out in a few hours and be done with it until the next week. And for you, it may not be laundry. For you, it may look like something completely different. But what area of your life exists where you're setting yourself up for frustration and failure by not implementing a system? And what system can you implement in order to make your life easier? And when you hear the word system, sometimes it can be intimidating because it feels like you have to have this whole plan and it has to be structured and beautiful and perfect. But a system can be something as simple as saying, I'm going to do this on this day at this time. A system can be something as simple as, I'm going to automate this process in my home, or I'm going to delegate this task to a company so that I no longer have to do it. I'm going to stay on track with this scheduling. While my kid is doing this extracurricular, I'm going to take that time to make sure I'm reading my 10 pages, or I'm going to take some time to use that to plan meals for the week. Implement the system and stick to it. I also saw this TikTok the other day. It was a guy speaking on a podcast. I can't remember the name of the podcast or anything like it, but his words stuck with me. And what he was saying is that it's okay to suck, but it's not okay to skip. And that, while it doesn't go directly into what I'm saying, it's a reminder of what I'm saying and a reminder of what I was saying about keeping promises to yourself. If you say, matter of fact, yes, this does go in, because the system is the system is the system is the system. And the way that you keep up with your system, the way that you keep up with the promises that you make to yourself, is being okay with sucking but not being okay with skipping. He said, if you tell yourself, I'm going to read 10 pages every night, on a day where you suck, you may not read the whole 10 pages, but you read one page and you didn't skip it. So you're keeping the confidence that you're not letting go of the habit completely. You're not getting out of the loop of the habit. So with my new system of Thursday being laundry day, a day that I would suck at that system is only getting one load of laundry done, or just sorting it, but I didn't finish it. But I didn't skip it altogether. So I'm not completely out of the loop. I just may have to catch up the next day on what I did not finish the day prior. And so that's another way that you can make sure that you're not looking at systems that you're trying to implement in your life as these giants that just can't be defeated. It's okay if I don't get it all the way right as soon as I decide to implement this thing or start this thing, but I need to make sure that it is a thing so that at some point I can conquer it, or at some point I can realize that it's not such a giant, or at some point I can realize that this is something that's doable for me. It works for me in my lifestyle, and eventually it makes your life easier. Second to last, I want you to lean into learning. As adults, we get out of the habit once we graduate out of learning new things. The same way that kids go back to school, send yourself back into the classroom. And it doesn't have to be a physical classroom. Treat fall like a mini back to school season for yourself. A skill, a book, a course, something that you've been wanting to get into, learn a little more about. It can be something as simple as, okay, let's say you want to learn how to do oil painting and you're usually a water painting type of girl. I don't know. Whatever that looks like. Something lighthearted, nothing that has to be too difficult. What will you learn to become better at in this season? It may be something that you've been putting off, wanting to learn how to do or learn more information about. There's so many resources. There's so many free resources. And that also can give you a push of momentum before the year closes out, in a sense of accomplishment of, I learned this new thing. I implemented this new skill. I gained this new hobby. And it feels good. It gives you that sense of accomplishment to say, you know what? I am more than capable of being exposed to new information, soaking up the information, and then implementing it in my life. And then last but not least, I want you to simplify your commitments. And after I just said everything else I say, you might be like, girl, how? You tell me to learn new things, add new systems. But in adding the systems, in auditing your routines, in getting ahead of the fall blues, all of those things will indeed simplify your commitments in the end. Saying no to what drains you and saying yes to the things that actually matter. Because one thing's for sure, protecting your energy in Q4 is actually how you finish strong. So that you're not crawling into January, crawling into 2026, crawling into whatever new year you're going into, feeling exhausted and depleted because you're committing yourself to too many things, too many people, too many organizations, too many things that actually in the end do nothing for you. So we're about to wrap this episode on up, but before we do, I just want to remind y'all that Q4, that the fall season is not about pushing yourself into a burnout, but rather it's about finishing faithfully, finishing strong. Hebrews 12:1 says, run with perseverance for the race marked out for us. Notice it doesn't say run somebody else's race. It reminds you to run the race that is picked out specifically, mapped out, designed beautifully for you. So if you're tired, if you're feeling burned out, Also remember this verse, Galatians 6:9, and it says, don't grow weary in well-doing, for at the proper time you will reap a harvest if you don't give up. That's not a suggestion, that's a promise. God does exactly what he says that he is going to do, and if it's in his word, then he's going to see it through. And so remembering that if you do feel weary, then use Q4 as a reset period. Use the fall as a time to say, when the sun goes down, baby, I'm going down too. Fall is literally harvest season. So lean into that. Set your intentions and trust that the seeds that you've planted, even if they've been quiet, even if they've been unnoticed, even if you feel like you've been making very small steps to the point of them bearing fruit, that they can still produce fruit before this year ends. That it's not too late. You're exactly where you need to be, and it's going to happen exactly when it's supposed to. It's your chance for reset. It's your chance for comeback. It's your chance to get ahead. And trust me, baby, I'm right here with you running this last lap, trying to get it together before this baby comes. And it's crazy because for me, my baby is like that marker. Like, all right, what can we accomplish before she gets here? What goals am I going to reach before she gets here? Because it's aligning with the seasons, aligning with the time, and new life being birthed, a new version of myself being birthed, all of those things happening. So whatever that looks like for you, I'm excited for you. And I know that you have everything that you need within you to accomplish the things that are on that list, to accomplish those things that you've been getting tugged at, the reminders that God has been giving you through people, or the God winks around you to say, no, that purpose that I put in you is still there. That thing that I told you to do, I still very much want you to do it. So get to it and step into this new season stronger than ever before. So let's pray and close this episode on out. Bow your head, close your eyes. Let's get right into it. God, I thank you for every single soul, every single viewer, every single person that is on the other side of my voice. I thank you for bringing them to this episode. I thank you for bringing them to this time because we know that it was only you that did so. We thank you for allowing us to see this new season. Thank you for allowing us to see Q4. In this crazy world, we do not take for granted having another hour, another day, another month to be alive, well, and breathing. So to reach and breathe in another season is such a blessing that we do not want to take lightly, and we want to thank you for. We ask you that you would give us clarity in this new season and showing us exactly what it is that you want us to do, where you would have us go, how you would have us to be, the things that you would like to work through us, in us, for us, around us, all of those things, God. We ask that you would just make it clear. Help your voice to be clearer than ever before. Remove all of the distractions that may be in our way. Remind us that we are capable if we put our power in you and allow you to be our strength to finish out everything that you've called us to do for the rest of this year and the rest of this time. And we thank you in advance for being with us and allowing these things to go forth. And it's in your name we do pray. Amen. Thank you so much for sticking through this episode. If you're still here, you are a real one. It felt so good. I cannot believe it's been 5 months since I recorded an episode. Like, that sounds wild, but I needed that time. I really needed that time. One of the next upcoming episodes, I'm not sure if it'll be the next one or the one after that, but the title of it is going to be When God Calls You Into a Silent Season. And baby, that's one you don't want to miss. That's all I can say. Share some love in the comments. We're about to hit 40 episodes. Even that's not happenstance. Coming back right before we hit a new decade of episodes, or a new set of numbers before we hit episode 40. That says a lot, and it's very special, and I'm so grateful. I always enjoy these episodes. I always feel full after recording these episodes, so I hope that you can echo that sentiment and that you walk away from this episode feeling empowered, feeling like you are that girl, that guy, because you absolutely are, and you absolutely can accomplish all of your goals and become exactly who you think that you are. So yes, thank you again for being here for this episode, and it won't be long before we are back. Hold me to it in the comments. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that now, and it won't be long before we're back again for episode 40. Until then, take great care of yourself. Enjoy this new season, and I will see you very, very soon. Later.